Chapter 1 Prologue. The village hidden in the leaves, better known as Konoha and viewed as the strongest of the 5 great hidden villages, is a peaceful place. The Leaf Village is known for its will of fire, which emphasizes how important teamwork was. Many legends spawned due to the beliefs held in the will of fire, fighting for their village's sake with that ideal embedded in their hearts. On 1 October 10th, 6 years ago, the birth of one boy would be the beginning of a new legend. That boy is a young, blonde boy named Naruto. Naruto is not an ordinary boy though. He is the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox, who attacked Konoha on the day of Naruto's birth incidentally. The attack was devastating and came out of nowhere. Many shinobi perished that night facing the Kyuubi, along with many civilian casualties. The sudden attack crippled Konoha considerably, and Konoha's destruction was imminent had it not been for the Yondaime Hokage, defeating and later sealing the Kyuubi into a newborn Naruto at the cost of his life. The Yondaime had wished that Naruto is seen as a hero, but unfortunately, that was for naught, as people viewed Naruto as the Kyuubi reincarnate. Although they did not openly hate or abuse young Naruto, his fate was worst being that his entire existence was seemingly ignored. Naruto became an orphan that night and as such had lived at the orphanage since birth. Just like with most orphans, being adopted by a family was all Naruto wanted since he could remember. Nothing was wrong with him as far as he knew. He was smart. The nice orphanage mother said he was handsome. Maybe his whisker mark like scars? No, she said those added to his appeal. So why, like every other day, was he not adopted? He could not even get one of the families to even consider him. The orphanage had a plentiful of people come in, yet Naruto still felt all alone. What did I do to get this treatment? Thought Naruto sadly. At that same instance, something strange was happening in Konoha. Nothing too major, it just seemed like the vegetation around Konoha seemed to pale a little in color. Center of Konoha. In a building directly in the heart of Konoha, there was a man seated behind a desk in an office looking into a crystal ball. He was none other than the Sandaime Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Hiruzen is an old man with gray hair and a wrinkled face to go along with his age. Despite that, he is still acknowledged as the strongest in Konoha and is still considered one of the strongest shinobi in the world today. Behind Hiruzen was another man with silver hair, dressed in all black with gray armor, and a dog-like porcelain mask. This was the Umbu captain code-named Inu. With one of his most trusted Anbu behind him, Hiruzen could not keep himself from sighing from what he was viewing. "Inu, do you think I've failed the Yondaime?" asked Hiruzen. "I could not say, although if I had to say something I'd state things could be made a little easier for the hero of Konoha," replied Inu. Maybe you're correct. I could make things easier for Naruto, starting with finding people who will at least acknowledge him. Maybe I'll go to the orphanage tomorrow and walk him around the village." "Sounds practical, Hokage-sama. I'm sure you will know what to do. If I may be dismissed." "Of course, have your report in later," said Hiruzen. Okay. Oh, by the way, is it me, or does Konoha not seem as green as earlier?" said Inu before he disappeared in a poof of smoke. It does, that's odd. It's not supposed to look like that. The only times I've seen it look like that was when Hashirama-sensei was sad over something. At times like the death of a ninja, but that was only due to his connection to nature via his Mokuton. "Could it be?" stated a slightly shocked Hiruzen. The next day. Today at the orphanage started like any other for Naruto. He woke up, used the bathroom, brushed his teeth, got dressed, and ate breakfast. Then Naruto headed to one of his favorite places, the library. Naruto enjoyed reading about the history of Konoha and anything about it, and he was reading peacefully until he heard his name being called. Naruto placed his book back and took off down the stairs to answer the call. "Yes, ma'am, you called me down." "Old man," stated a stunned Naruto, noticing the Sandaime in the doorway. "Ah yes, indeed I am Naruto-kun. Would you like to take a walk with me?" said an amused Hiruzen as he smiled down at the ecstatic boy in front of him. "1 second, mother. Could I go with the Hokage for the day?" After an obvious yes from the woman, Naruto and the Hokage were off. The orphanage mother was proud that Naruto was polite enough, even in his shocked state, to still ask her permission despite the Hokage being in the room. As they were walking around Konoha, the Hokage decided to ask Naruto a few questions. "Naruto-kun, how have you been? I haven't seen you for a while. I've been okay, Gigi, everything's fine, Naruto said, trying to mask his sadness from Hiruzen. Really? Are you sure you're okay? You haven't been feeling a little down as of late? Feeling lonely over how people seem to ignore you? Naruto stared bug-eyed at the Hokage. How did you know? I am the Hokage. I make it a point to know. How about you tell me over some lunch, Have you heard of a place called Ichiraku's? Sure, why not, and what's an Ichiraku's? Several minutes later, Ichiraku's. This is the food of gods, stated Naruto as he happily devoured his third bowl of the heavenly food called ramen. Not feeling at all depressed anymore from his earlier story to the Hokage of his lack of attention from the Konoha populace. Indeed, it is Naruto. Ichiraku's has the best ramen in all the land of fire, possibly the world. And you are always welcome here, said Tucci, the owner of Ichiraku's. I can Ji-san? Always? Asked Naruto, who stopped eating, awaiting a response. Before Tucci could answer, though, his young 10-year-old daughter, I am, answered first as she came around from behind the counter. Of course, Naruto-kun. I'll always be here for you. We could be best friends, huh? As she hugged Naruto around the neck. Naruto became shocked. The girl he just met wanted to become his friend, his best friend. Then he almost had a heart attack when she hugged him. It was his first hug from someone other than the Hokage, and he couldn't remember being happier. His first friend his age, Naruto felt immediate happiness. At that point, the Hokage, who was happy at the scene, decided to ask another question. Hey Naruto-kun, do you still want to become a ninja? While ending his hug with I am, Naruto replied with, Of course, I want to get as strong as you so I could protect my friends and the village. That way everyone will have to acknowledge me. Maybe I'll become Hokage so you can go back to your retirement home. After a round of chuckling from everyone, the Hokage said, We'll see about getting you some training. We'll even get you an apartment close to my office so you can come to see me anytime. How does that sound? Naruto didn't answer, but due to the tearful face and the immediate hug Hiruzen was given, it was more of enough of an answer. This was the happiest moment of Naruto's young life. He was going to become a ninja, what he always wanted. As this was all going on, Konoha's plant life seemed to come alive. Trees grew seemingly immediately. Flowers began blooming rapidly. Everything looked beautiful, and to the one dubbed the professor, he had a pretty good idea what was going on. I think I know the perfect sensei for you, Naruto-kun. It seems something amazing has come back to the leaf, thought Hiruzen with a smile. Several months later. It had been a few months since Naruto started his new life. That life of moving to his apartment, meeting his sensei, and beginning his journey to become the best shinobi he could be. In those 6 months, Naruto did meet a few other kids his age that Naruto got along with better than expected. Those kids were a lot of clan children since the shinobi families weren't telling their children to actively avoid him. They were Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, Kiba Inuzuka, and a quiet boy named Shino Aburame. Naruto got along with those for the most, but he did get the chance to meet Ino Yamanaka and Sakura Haruno, though it was sparse due to Sakura's mom taking Sakura away most of the time when Naruto came along and Ino leaving with her friend. Despite that, he did thoroughly enjoy his time with each of them and became quick friends. Happiness filled Naruto. He wasn't the most popular guy in Konoha, but he at least had friends that cared about him and enjoyed spending time with him. And nearly every weekend since Naruto's new life started, Naruto met with his sensei after the academy every day at a simple training ground. He only knew him because of his tiger mask and his short, spiky brown hair. The Umbu was a pretty cool guy in Naruto's opinion. He was a calm, collected person. He wasn't a strict teacher, but he did instill a sense of perfection into Naruto's training. He mainly had him doing chakra control exercises like the leaf balancing exercise, tree walking, and water walking to get his control up. Seeing how he couldn't do anything too strenuous due to not wanting to stunt the growth of a 6-year-old kid. He did notice that somehow, despite Naruto being a Jinchuriki, his chakra control was amazing. It was shocking because usually people with higher reserves didn't have good control of it. Naruto was quite the anomaly. But one thing he did find the most shocking was when he tested Naruto's affinity. The results shocked him. Tora handed Naruto a sheet of special chakra paper and told him how it worked. That when he channeled his chakra into it, it would either burn to ashes, Katan affinity, become soaked, Suiton affinity. Crumble into dirt, Doton affinity. Crinkle up, Raiton affinity. Or split in half, Futon affinity. When Naruto did as instructed, the paper did something unprecedented. The paper split down the middle, creating two halves. Then one side crumbled into dirt while the other side grew damp and became soggy. Whoa! Tora-sensei, does that mean I have 3 affinities? Stated and excited Naruto. As shocked as he was, Tora didn't allude Naruto to that fact. He was an Umbu, he could handle shocks like this, but it was still impressive, and you could tell from his tone when he said, Yes, Naruto, that is extremely rare and very impressive. It's so impressive, I think I'll teach you 2 jutsu for 2 of your affinities since they are both identical to mine. But you first have to carry out elemental manipulation for both, and we may even find some elemental manipulation on wind too. But for now, let's start with Doton. Tora handed him a leaf and told him to channel chakra into it and attempt to turn it into dirt. Alright, Tora-sensei. I can't wait for it. I'm gonna steal that hat from the old man in no time, Naruto said as he began to channel his chakra. He did notice someone walking toward an abandoned-looking clan district. Hey, isn't that the Uchiha? Yes, it is. Sad what happened a couple of months ago with the massacre. Maybe it's best to stay away from him for a little while to let him cope with his loss. I couldn't imagine what he's going through, said Tora. Maybe you're right, Sensei. Hopefully he doesn't get too sad about it. But honestly, how could I know? That pain is unbearable, I bet, Naruto said as he watched him walk down the path, forgetting about what he was doing. Hopefully, but aren't you supposed to turn that leaf into dirt? Questioned Tori as Naruto's eyes widened. Hai Sensei, Naruto said as he began to concentrate once again. He continued doing this for a few hours, making minimal progress, but progressed nonetheless until his sensei told him he had to leave. He did leave him with instructions to continue with his chakra control exercises and to keep at the leaf in his spare time. With that, he disappeared in a shunshin. That left Naruto to his own devices. Deciding that it was still too early to head home, Naruto went to the park to see if his friends were there. Hokage's office. While Naruto was hanging at the park, Tora arrived at the Hokage's office to give his report on Naruto's progress. Tora began with, Naruto still surprises me. Despite having enormous chakra reserves, he still maintains amazing control over his chakra. It's quite unbelievable. But that wasn't the biggest surprise of the day. Normally these reports had little merit since Naruto was just beginning his journey and did not do anything of too much substance since he was still underage. But due to the last thing his Umbu said, he was interested in hearing it. Please tell me what it is, asked Hiruzen. It was hard to keep the smirk off his face as he stated. I tested Naruto's elemental affinity today with chakra paper. I found out that Naruto has 3 chakra natures. Upon noticing the Hokage's dropped jaw, thrilled that he was able to tell him that info, he continued with, those 3 are wind, water, and earth. After a few moments of still being stunned, the Hokage stated, it seems Naruto-kun is blessed with amazing abilities. You remember when we found out he was a censor? Flashback. Now Naruto-kun, are you ready to meet your sensei and begin your training? Asked the Hokage. Naruto closed the door to his apartment as he said excitedly, yes, I can't wait to become the best. With that, Naruto and the Hokage headed to a training ground located 15 minutes away from his apartment. They sat and talked for a few moments until Naruto abruptly stopped mid-sentence and looked to his left. A few seconds later, an Umbu in a tiger mask appeared in a swirl of leaves. The Hokage noticed this and asked Naruto how he knew the Umbu would arrive right there. What Naruto said shocked him. I don't know, Gigi, I just kind of felt him coming and that was the direction he was coming from. I've always been able to do that, it's kind of weird. I also know what people are feeling too, said Naruto, unaware of what that meant exactly. That's the same as Mito-sama's negative emotion sensing, thought the Hokage. Well, Naruto, what are we both feeling at the moment then? Asked the Hokage. Gigi, you feel proud and tired. And the man with the tiger mask is feeling a little anxious and kind of excited, said Naruto. A quick nod from the Umbu. The Hokage said, Naruto, it seems you're a censor with abilities I've seen in only one person. With a look of excitement, Naruto questioned, Who? And is it that good? Mito Uzumaki. She was the wife of the Shodaime Hokage. Before you ask, I'm not sure if you're related. I think your last names are just coincidental. And yes, Naruto, it is one of the most powerful sensor abilities recorded. And with that, you're bound to be an amazing shinobi. No one would be able to deceive you, quite powerful indeed. Yatta, I'll be the best shinobi in the world, said an overjoyed Naruto. Present, Konoha Park. While Tora was giving his report, Naruto had found his friends at the park. The whole gang was there, Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, and Shino. They were all just doing nothing really when Naruto walked up and said hello. Hey Naruto, how are you man? Said an excited Kiba with a bark of greeting from Akamaru as well. I've been great, it must be cool coming from clans like all of you do, said Naruto. What do you mean and how do you know we are from clans? Said a curious Shikamaru as they never brought it up before. Naruto was too young to know about clans, right? Well, while at the orphanage, I did a lot of reading about the history of Konoha and it gave a detailed explanation of the more prominent clans of Konoha. Like the Nara clan that you come from Shikamaru, known for its use of shadows, producing geniuses, and it is part of the Ino-Shikacho combination. That Choji here is also a part of, he is from the Akimichi clan, whose physical prowess is unmatched with their expansion jutsu. I also heard they own a few restaurants around Konoha. Kiba here is from the Inazuka clan, known for their tracking ability and amazing taijutsu abilities. Also for the tag team of them and their partners like Akamaru there. And finally Shino from the Aburame clan, who specializes in tracking and the capturing of their enemies. They use bugs in almost all of their jutsus and they are quite formidable in battle due to those bugs and their logic in formulating plans. Explained Naruto. At the end of his explanation, the group of 4 had varied reactions. Choji was happy that Naruto didn't talk about his weight. Kiba was happy that Naruto knew the Inazukas were amazing. Shino gave a quiet nod of agreement, while Shikamaru was trying to figure out the enigmatic Naruto. Sometimes he was a regular, goofy kid, but other times, Naruto had moments where he seemed like a ninja due to his knowledge and movements at times. But before he could say anything to find out more, Naruto had seemed to take off with Kiba in a race during his moment of thinking. Oh well, he had ample time to figure him out, why worry about it now, plus those clouds look appealing to him. Hokage's office. Well, at least Naruto's life has become better, wouldn't you say? Asked Hiruzen to no one in particular as he watched the scene from his crystal ball. From the window, the dog mask Umbu appeared. Yes, he seems happier and I'm glad for it. Am I still going to be his sensei when he graduates? Responded Inu. If all goes as planned, he'll be on the same team as Uchiha Sasuke so that you can teach them both. Minato, your sensei's legacy, and the last remaining loyal heir of the Uchiha clan. I couldn't find a better teacher and watcher of those two if I got to create him from scratch. But Naruto will continue to work with Tora, allowing you more time to focus on Sasuke and their third member. With that, Inu gestured a hand over his left eye. Sounds like a good plan. Well, if that is all, I'm off. Until next time, Hokage-sama. Bye Inu, I'll see you later, said the Hokage as he stood up and looked out over his village. While overlooking his beautiful village, Hiruzen couldn't help but think, I can't wait to see what the future holds for the Leaf Village. I'm sure it'll be one that'll go down in the history books. Chapter 2, Revelations. Time skip, 4 years later, Naruto age 10, nearing 11. A young, blonde-haired boy could be seen walking through the streets of Konoha. This young man was of good height for his age, 4 feet 8 inches tall. He was wearing a sleeveless orange hoodie with a blue t-shirt underneath and matching blue shorts. He also wore a blue wristband on each wrist and had on blue shinobi sandals to complete his outfit. On his face were 6 whisker marks, 3 on each cheek, that adorned his tanned skin. He had blonde hair that rivaled his hero, the Yondaime Hokage's, complete with the 2 bangs framing his face. All in all, he looked like a carbon copy of the Yondaime, except he had violet eyes that he unknowingly got from his mother. It had been 4 years since Naruto began his journey to becoming the best ninja he could be. His training was going great. Due to his sensei's training methods, Naruto had progressed well for his age. How could Naruto not be? He has had a personal Umbu teacher since the age of 6. When asked what he wanted to specialize in, Naruto told his sensei that being a well-rounded shinobi with abilities not lacking in any of the major categories was his goal. Being the best shinobi possible was the true goal, and Tora knew deep down that ninjutsu would become his favorite and the shinobi skill Naruto would be best at. Naruto had learned that he had enormous chakra reserves for a boy his age and frankly for anyone of any age. Mostly due to the fox in his belly and the intricate seal placed on him that slowly siphoned off the Kyuubi's chakra to mix into his own. Normally, when a person has a large chakra reserve, they would have terrible control over it due to the amount of chakra they have. Naruto was weird in that his control over his chakra was impressive, way too impressive for someone with his chakra level. It seemed he had luck on his side for both sides of the coin being dealt his way without any of their drawbacks. Naruto-sensei had, from day one, drilled into him how to better use shuriken and kunai. Tora taught Naruto how to throw them accurately, and how to throw them with speed and power. Even though he wasn't the most precise of shinobi, he could still hit a bullseye 8 out of 10 times with relative ease. After Naruto's 7th birthday, his sensei started to put him through physical exercises, still nothing that would halt the growth of his body. He had been given a workout to do and training weights to put on to build up his body. Naruto focused on speed as his main physical attribute. Naruto remembered reading in a book that the fastest shinobi is usually the winning shinobi. Plus, the Yondaime was one of the fastest ninjas in history and he wanted to surpass him. So Naruto mainly worked on being quicker than his opponents. That's not to say his attacks lacked any power behind them. Naruto's progress in taijutsu was minimal, that being due to his teacher not being proficient in it since Tora was a ninjutsu specialist. So Naruto had only learned the katas for the basic academy style taught in the academy. Despite that though, Naruto found ways to stress his abilities better and added his mix to the style. That's what the academy style is for, just a basic set of katas that are malleable enough to change and suit one person better. Naruto could keep up with nearly any, if not all, genin at this point if it came down to a taijutsu fight, and he still had 3 more years until he became one. Naruto's progress in genjutsu was kind of SOSO. Naruto hadn't been able to use any of the genjutsu taught to him by his sensei. Yet, he can detect them pretty easily up to most B ranks. Naruto could even break them with ease due to the enormity and potency of his chakra. Because Naruto's chakra had a presence alone. They discovered it when he first unlocked it. As the chakra came bursting out, Naruto created a small circle of spiderweb cracks in the ground beneath him. Naruto did not have any genjutsu in his repertoire yet, but he was certain by the time he graduated, he'd be able to use the few he got tasked with learning. Naruto truly shined in ninjutsu. He was a genius in the art. And with his 3 chakra natures, it was easy for him to use most elemental ninjutsu. Naruto first learned how to do the basic Academy 3, even the Bunshin no Jutsu, clone technique. Though it did take a few chakra control lessons to get it down to the required 3. Naruto had gotten so good at the Korimi no Jutsu, body replacement technique, that he didn't need to use hand seals anymore. Tora even taught Naruto the Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker technique, and it was by far his favorite. Naruto was even trying to find a way to make it battle available by improving the speed of it. He hadn't gotten it there yet, but he would keep trying. Naruto also learned the first chakra nature manipulations for all 3 of his chakra natures, turning the leaf into dirt, soaking it, and finally splitting it in half. Naruto hadn't accomplished the next step for either one as they were much more difficult and would take more time to do. His first elemental jutsu learned was the ever-versatile and defensive Doton. Doryuhiki, Earth Style, Mud Wall. It was a technique that allowed the user to create a wall of mud to use as a defense, either spitting the mud out of his mouth or using pre-existing earth. Naruto also learned another versatile earth jutsu called Doton. Murugikure no Jutsu, Earth Style. Hiding like a mole technique, which allowed him to travel underground to avoid attacks. Naruto could even attack whilst underground as well. Earth was easily his favorite element so far and his go-to element. For Suiton, Naruto also learned 2 jutsus, both offensive. The first being Suiton, Haronyu, Water Style, Tearing Torrent, which allows the user to create water that spirals in the user's hand. The water then fires at a high speed towards the enemy. The other jutsu Naruto had learned was the basic Suiton, Suidan no Jutsu, Water Style, Water Bullet Jutsu. It's a basic water technique where the user spews forth water from his mouth in the form of a bullet-like fashion. It's comparable to the Katon, Enden, Fire Style, Flame Bullet. Naruto hadn't learned any wind-style jutsu yet, electing to just use it to add a deadly edge to his weapons. Adding wind chakra flow, Naruto's weapons gained an increase in their cutting power. His kunai and shuriken became all the deadlier, although, since he hadn't mastered the elemental manipulation for wind fully, they weren't as deadly as they could be. It was still better than not having anything. Naruto was happy with his progress in ninjutsu. He may not have over 1,000 jutsu like Konoha's copy ninja, but he did master the ones he had. So much so that with his chakra control and the continual practice of his ninjutsu, he had shortened the hand seals down to 1 for his shunshin, one-handed ram seal, mud wall, and water bullet, to none for his others. This increased his speed in battle as he didn't have to waste movement on all those hand seals like others may have to. At one point, about 2 years ago, Naruto received the shock of his young life. Flashback. 2 years ago, Naruto age 8. Naruto was on the training ground he'd been using since he was 6 and was nearing the end of his training for the day. He was finishing up with his Suiton jutsus. Naruto was training on top of the water while practicing so he could also further his chakra control. He was training topless on the water as to not get all of his clothes wet. A little while later, Naruto began to run low on chakra from staying longer than normal. Normally, Naruto would notice when he was running low and stop as to not get chakra exhaustion. But he was too into trying to master his jutsu that he didn't notice. So when Naruto went to draw more chakra, what he got terrified him. Instead of his normal, calm chakra, it seemed Naruto pulled from another chakra source. A source that contained powerful vile chakra that was extremely too much to handle for the blonde academy student. Naruto immediately stopped feeling the chakra and decided to end his training. As he looked down, he noticed black markings on his stomach that slowly began to fade away. Was that a seal? Why was there a seal on him? Did it hold his second chakra? Why does he have a second chakra anyway? Questions like that began to flutter through Naruto's mind, and he was going to figure out the answers. After a month of researching, Naruto headed towards the Hokage Tower to speak with the Hokage, someone who could truly answer his questions. Since reading about some stuff, Naruto decided to test his theory to the one man who should know the most about it. Hey Gigi, thanks for seeing me. I have a few questions that I think only you can answer, said Naruto as he entered the Hokage's office after being let in by the secretary. Ah yes, it is great to see you, my dear boy. What can I do for you, Naruto-kun? Asked the Hokage with a smile after hugging Naruto. With the greeting out of the way, Naruto took a deep breath, held a serious face, and said, "Am I the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi?" The smile on Hiruzen's aged face dropped immediately at the words, Jinchuriki and Kyuubi. The Hokage immediately put on a serious face and questioned Naruto about how he came of knowledge about something like this. Naruto replied, "It's the only explanation I could come up with after doing some research. It all makes sense from my whisker marks to the fact that many people in Konoha ignore me and tell others to stay away from the fox brat. Not to mention the seal that appeared on my stomach when I was training with my shirt off. It appeared only after I had accidentally channeled some of its chakra. That's why I began researching how a person could contain 2 chakras, and the word that showed up was Jinchuriki, a title for those who house a tailed beast, and the only tailed beast that has been around Konoha since I was born is the 9-tailed fox. It was the only logical explanation, and even now, based on your reaction, I'm assuming I am correct," said Naruto sadly as he realized that he was the Kyuubi, the same Kyuubi that attacked Konoha 8 years ago, and the people of Konoha's treatment was justified. Hiruzen was heartbroken that Naruto had come to find out his status as Konoha's Jinchuriki without anyone telling him. He hadn't wanted to tell him until he was at least a Chunin, but it seemed that was too much to hope for. Now Naruto-kun, yes, you do house the Kyuubi, but do not mistake that as being the fox itself. You are Naruto, not the Kyuubi. It's no different from a sealing scroll and a kunai. Just because you seal a kunai into a scroll, that doesn't make the scroll a kunai. It's just a scroll with a kunai in it. The same as you, although it's a very deadly kunai with 9 tails. Do you understand? Naruto, who had become saddened, cheered up slightly upon hearing that. Though he still had a few more questions. Yeah, I got it. But why was I chosen as the one that housed the Kyuubi? Because you were the only one the Yondaime could trust the village's safety to. You were a hero ever since birth, as you protect Konoha more than any other person, including me with being our Jinchuriki. Who were my parents? Did they just hand me over to the yondaime for that purpose and leave me alone to handle this by myself? Can you tell me about them yet? Questioned Naruto with a teary and hopeful face. Naruto-kun, do not think like that. I know personally that your parents were great ninjas and even better people. Whether they handed you over to the yondaime to become the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, I cannot say, as it's an S-rank secret, just like the knowledge of your parents. You are a precious Jinchuriki, and knowledge of your heritage could be harmful to Konoha in the long run. So it's being kept secret from everyone, even you. However, I can tell you that they fought valiantly in keeping the fox from assaulting the village, in that they gave their lives protecting it. They were both exemplary shinobi and even better friends. And like I said before, I can't give you information about them. Your parents had a lot of enemies, and it would be unwise to have it somehow get out. Other villages may find out and want to attack Konoha just to get rid of you," said the Hokage with a stern face that left no room for argument. "But I promise, when you're strong enough, you'll find out their names. Is that a deal?" "Ah, they must have been awesome to have that many enemies and to give birth to the future greatest ninja ever. I can't wait for the day I get to find out who they are. I'm gonna hold you to your promise, old man," said a now motivated Naruto. "One last question. Can we go see the sunset from the top of the Hokage mountain?" asked a now puppy-eyed Naruto. The Hokage said nothing as a smile came to his face. He placed one hand on Naruto's shoulder, and they were off in a shunshin to the top of the yondaime's head. As they were watching the sunset, they couldn't help but notice how beautiful the village looked at the moment. They sat in relative silence until Naruto spoke up suddenly. "I want to protect this peace," said Naruto in a low tone, so low that the Hokage barely heard him. "You want to do what, Naruto-kun?" "I want to protect this peace, this beautiful moment, and how happy I can sense the village is. I want to protect it. I want to do everything in my power to keep this place like this. That's why I will be the Hokage, to keep this village safe. No matter what, I will protect my home and anyone who tries to harm it. Whether they are my comrade, friend, or even my parent, I will show no mercy to them in defending it. Then I'll be able to show everyone that I'm Naruto, not the Kyuubi. Then everyone will have to acknowledge me and start treating me like somebody important. I will become the Hokage, and that's a promise. And I never go back on my word. That's my ninja way," spoke a highly passionate Naruto. The Hokage couldn't speak as he saw the face of the Shodai appear in Naruto's place during his speech. Naruto had just invoked in him the same amount of passion he had when Hashirama told him what it was to become the Hokage. It was incredible to see. The will of fire burned brightest in this 8-year-old child, and he couldn't keep the smile off his aged face. "Indeed you will, Naruto, indeed you will," thought Hiruzen to himself, and he finished watching the sunset with Naruto. Flashback end. Ever since that day, Naruto's training seemed to amplify due to the effort he put into becoming better. He took things more seriously and trained harder every day. Despite that, he still made time for his friends, mainly through the academy, since they all entered at the age of 6. In the academy, though, Naruto decided that he didn't need to show all of his abilities. Thus, he established himself as one of the middle students in his class. He didn't feel it necessary to become the Rookie of the Year or anything for that matter, as it meant nothing to him. Plus, he had read that information was one of the most powerful tools a shinobi could use, so he hid his power to not show too much. Naruto knew that he was by far the strongest of his age group, even if no one else did. He was far more advanced than his classmates, even Sasuke. But Naruto knew that if Sasuke ever awoke his Sharingan, he could catch up to Naruto quickly. But what Naruto didn't know was that he had his trump card revealed that afternoon. After finishing his day at the academy, Naruto made his way to the training ground he had frequented since 6. Upon noticing that he was early, Naruto decided he'd get started anyway. After placing on his training weights, he began to go through a few physical exercises before his sensei arrived. After about an hour of just training, Naruto sensed his sensei approaching. He immediately stopped what he was doing to see what was on the agenda for the week. "Hello, Naruto. How are you today?" said Tora upon arriving. After Naruto greeted back in kind, he continued with, "Now, Naruto, your training has come out fantastic, and as your sensei, I couldn't be prouder. With that being said, I have a new jutsu for you to learn, and I think you'll be able to use it." Naruto began to immediately get excited at the prospect of learning a new jutsu. He would have another jutsu to add to his arsenal, and it would further increase his battle capabilities. Are you ready? Good, here we go. This jutsu is an advanced version of the Bunshin no Jutsu, clone technique, where you'll be making a clone of yourself. Although unlike the standard clone, this will be a physical clone. With that in mind, the hand seals for the jutsu are tiger, dog, snake. Now you'll have to channel a bit of chakra into it as it does have a higher cost. Go ahead, try it until you get it, said Tora as he held an anxious air about him awaiting the results. Naruto remembered the hand seals easily and did them slowly one at a time. When he finished, he channeled a lot of chakra into the jutsu while thinking of making a clone of himself. When nothing occurred, Naruto looked confused for a moment and thought he did it wrong until his sensei told him to try again, as it was difficult to do. With a few pointers here and there from his sensei and an hour of steady attempts of the jutsu, Naruto finally got a result. An exhausted Naruto, for the 100th time in the past hour, flew through the hand seals for the jutsu and channeled a bit of chakra into it. Unlike other times, Naruto felt a pull at the back of his neck, but it went away as soon as it came. Thinking he should tell his sensei, Naruto looked up to his sensei, but his sensei was pointing behind him. Turning around, Naruto looked to see what his sensei was pointing at. He gasped at the sight of another him that had turned around at the same moment and gasped as well. It was him, and they seemed to mask each other perfectly, as if he was staring at a mirror. "It's me!" shouted both Narutos at the same time. "You look awesome. This is so cool," said both Narutos at the same time. They both then proceeded to get to know one another and found out they liked the same things ironically. An amused Tora looked at the sight of Naruto and his interaction with his clone, but when they started talking about ramen, he thought it had gone far enough. "Naruto? Naruto? Naruto?" Both Narutos got scared at the sight of their sensei having that creepy ghost teller light cast upon him. They were wondering where he pulled that flashlight from to get such lighting. "Now, Naruto, you don't realize that what you have just done has only been accomplished by 2 people in the history of Konoha. Making a clone of myself? I've seen other people make clones of themselves all the time. How could only 2 people have done it?" questioned one of the Narutos, since he thought it was a bunch of bull. Tora chuckled a little as he said, "Naruto, that clone jutsu you used is the Moku Bunshin no Jutsu, wood clone technique. It's a solid clone of oneself made of wood. It can only be accomplished by those that have the Kekai Genkai made famous by the Shodame Hokage, Mokuton." At this, both Naruto's jaws hit the floor. This news surprised them since they knew all about the bloodline, having seen it in many books. The ability to convert one's chakra into life. Naruto was truly happy that he was connected to someone in some way, and a Hokage to boot. With this bloodline, it meant Naruto's lineage stemmed from the first Hokage. He was a Senju. He had a clan, family. Naruto and his clone then proceeded to start celebrating together, completely forgetting their earlier exhaustion. "Does that mean I'm a Senju sensei? It's the only way, right? Bloodlines can only be passed down to those only with the same blood, right?" After receiving a nod from his sensei, Naruto continued in his moment of euphoria with dances and the whistling of a tune. He was Senju Naruto. He was going to put the Senju clan crest on his back and wear it proudly. Throughout Naruto's jumps for joy, he didn't notice the garden of flowers that would spring up underneath him every time he landed, as they were responding to his happiness. Even though Tora was happy for the new Senju, he still noticed a few flaws in Naruto's jutsu, and as a sort of a perfectionist, he pointed them out. "Naruto, you did make a wood clone of yourself, but it's not perfect." After seeing both Naruto's confused looks, Tora elaborated, "Well, first off, your clone looks like a puppet. That's not supposed to happen. Secondly, his arm is reminiscent of tree bark. Definitely not supposed to happen. And thirdly, he's not even the same height as you. The clone must be the same. He should look like a perfect copy of you down to every detail. Just like a transformation, if it's not done properly, the enemy will immediately see through the rows and use that to their advantage." After a nod of agreement from Naruto, Tora began to say goodbye for the week. "Now that you have a new jutsu, I want you to practice making it perfect for the week along with the other exercises you normally do. When you complete the jutsu, I'll show you another Mokuton jutsu to add to your list. Now I'm off to have a chat with Hokage-sama, so I will see you later." Oh, and Naruto, the Senju clan is a feared clan on equal par with the Uchiha clan, especially Hashirama because of his Mokuton abilities. So for now, refrain from telling or showing anyone your Mokuton as it could lead to dire consequences. Got it. After another nod from Naruto, Tora bid him farewell and whisked away to meet with the Hokage. Hokage Tower. The Hokage had been spying on Naruto the entire time through his crystal ball, and as Tora came out of his floorboard said, "So Naruto-kun has the Mokuton I see?" said the Hokage with a knowing smile. "You don't seem at all surprised by that news, Hokage-sama. Did you know he had it all along even before you asked me to test it?" Hiruzen ended watching Naruto as he took a drag from his pipe. After blowing out the smoke, he stated, "I've had my suspicions for a while. When Naruto was 6 years old, I noticed that when he was sad, the vegetation around Konoha would dim slightly, and when he was happy, it would be abuzz with life and grow exponentially more vibrant. I had only seen that in one other person, that person being Hashirama-sensei. And that was only because of his connection to nature via his Mokuton. So I had always believed he would be able to use it. I just wanted to wait till he was mature enough to know not to blab it out for the world to know. Why do you think I chose you to train him? There's no one better to help him learn how to harness his bloodline better than you." Of course, Hokage-sama, that seemed like the best option, and I am the most inclined to teach Naruto about his Mokuton. I will teach him all I can about it in the coming years before his graduation and team placement under his sensei. Also, Naruto has decided he wants to use the Senju surname to honor his connection to Hashirama. He reasoned that being able to use Hashirama's abilities must make him a part of his family, so he wanted to use his clan's name as his own. Of course he can. I'm sure Tsunade-chan would want to hear of this since she used to be the last remaining Senju, though it is hard to get in touch with her these days ever since she left the village, replied Hiruzen. Yes, indeed. I'm sure she would enjoy knowing that she has family left. Maybe it'd be enough to get her to return. We can only hope. If that is all, Hokage-sama? Asked Tora as he began to sink back into the floor. Yes, of course, until next week, said Hiruzen as he took another drag from his pipe. Things are looking up around here. I hope it's not bad, allowing Naruto usage of that last name. I'll be able to handle anything. Today has been good. Thought the old Hokage, but he immediately regretted that thought as he saw his secretary come in with a huge stack of paperwork. I just had to think that, bring it on, paperwork. The next day. On another beautiful day in Konoha, we find Naruto headed to the academy. Naruto was running a little late as had a long day yesterday. From revealing his bloodline to Tora, to his name change, to even the long process of putting the Senju clan emblem on the back of his hooded jacket. He soon arrived and knocked on the door to his class. After a moment, a voice was heard saying, "Come in." Naruto then strolled into class. As he walked in, he saw his teacher, Irika Umino, staring at him intently. Irika was a man of average height and build. He had black hair that he kept in a ponytail and a horizontal scar across his nose. He wore the standard Chunin outfit of Konoha, complete with a blue headband tied around his forehead. Irika is a kind-hearted man. Despite that, though, upon first seeing Naruto, treated him with indifference like most. But after a while, Irika became more friendly towards Naruto after seeing his interactions with his friends and talking to him himself. Despite Naruto becoming his favorite student, Irika still took no favoritism as he was ready to scold Naruto for his tardy. "Naruto, why are you 15 minutes late to class today?" "Sorry, Irika-sensei. I had a crazy day yesterday. I found out I'm from a clan," said Naruto. Naruto was not the most popular kid in school, but everyone that got to know the gentle boy knew how amazing a person he was. They also knew that Naruto was a clanless orphan. So when he stated that he was from a clan, everyone's attention glued onto him as to find out which one. Upon noticing the looks from everyone, Naruto decided to elaborate as he turned around to show off his clan crest before speaking. "I'm a member of the Senju clan. From now on, just call me Naruto Senju." Normally such an announcement would be ludicrous, but the sealed note from the Hokage with approval lessened the doubts to nil. Irika read the note and told the class that the Hokage himself acknowledged Naruto's belonging to the clan. Immediately when Irika said Naruto was a Senju, the classroom was abuzz with commotion. The Senju clan was the strongest in Konoha. Naruto's a Senju? Damn, he just got hotter. Troublesome. Amid all the commotion, Irika fainted upon hearing the shocking news from Naruto. Sasuke becomes slightly interested in Naruto. Sasuke knows all about the history of his clan and the Senju clan and the rivalry between Hashirama and Madara. Once Irika got up from his dazed state and settled down the class, it was time for taijutsu sparring. After a few fights and a give-up from Shikamaru, it came as no surprise that Naruto would be challenged by Sasuke, which he accepted. Thus we have it, Uchiha versus Senju. Of course, everyone's eyes became glued to the spar. Sasuke got into the Uchiha clan's interceptor fist as Naruto took up his slightly modified academy stance. With a quick shout of Hajime, the battle was on. Despite the signal to start, neither Sasuke nor Naruto moved for about a minute. That changed when a leaf landed on the mat and both fighters took that as the signal to begin and sprinted at each other. Sasuke started with a few quick jabs attacking Naruto in different places but grew surprised when Naruto seemed to dodge them effortlessly. Upon seeing this, Sasuke decided to kick it up a notch and throw in kicks with his punches to catch Naruto off guard. But despite all those strikes, in the end, Naruto backflipped away from a kick without taking one hit. Sasuke couldn't believe it. With the spectators, Shikamaru Nara muttered a troublesome. Upon being questioned by Ino for why he said it, he decided to explain, "I knew Naruto was better than he let on. I had my suspicions since I first met him 4 years ago at the park. Plus, in all his other spars he would rarely get hit as well. It sometimes looked as if he let himself be hit. Even with that, they were only light grazes at best. He's way too good for any of us, including Sasuke at the moment." "How can that be? I thought Sasuke was the best in our class," asked a confused Ino. "Naruto is stronger than what he let be known. Why is he showing us his power now? Because he has a clan to represent," spoke Shino logically. "How can Naruto be stronger than Sasuke-kun? Sasuke-kun is the best," yelled Sakura, who got cheers of agreement from a few fangirls nearby. "Are you sure Naruto's that strong? He could just be getting lucky," asked a confused Kiba, who was slowly watching himself become third best in taijutsu. "It's too much work to explain it," said Shikamaru as he proceeded to lay down and close his eyes. "Lazy ass," thought everyone. Back to the spar. Sasuke had become increasingly frustrated at not being able to touch Naruto. As a result, his style got a little sloppy and Naruto took advantage. Sasuke threw a very predictable straightforward punch at Naruto and Naruto surprised him when he grabbed his wrist. Deciding that at least he and Naruto finally touched during the spar, Sasuke decided to continue pressing forward with a high kick to Naruto's chin. Just like his punch, his kick was also caught by Naruto. Sasuke barely caught Naruto's grin as he soon found himself on his back after a leg sweep from Naruto. Sasuke then felt a kick in the ribs from Naruto that sent him skidding across the mat a few feet. Gasps were heard at the quick display of prowess from Naruto. Naruto handled Sasuke in their last exchange and frankly the spar. But Sasuke wasn't done. After catching his breath, he quickly got up and elected to come in with a feint left hook that disguised a knee strike to Naruto's gut. But it was all for naught as he was on the receiving end of a vicious elbow to his knee from Naruto that placed his leg right back down. Then Sasuke felt the quickest 2 punches he had ever received since joining the academy. From the pain in his knee to the momentary daze from the punches, Sasuke was left wide open for Naruto. Seeing Sasuke's stunned state, Naruto decided to end the spar with a follow-up uppercut to the stomach that doubled over Sasuke and finally with a quick elbow strike to the back of the neck to send Sasuke off into unconsciousness. Everyone became shocked at the display because up until that point, Naruto never showed that level of skill before. He was good, but it was always believed that Sasuke was the best. Not after that brutal and quick defeat. Naruto was incredible and was now being shown in a new light. It seemed there was more to the kind boy they had come to know. What Naruto didn't know was that the ass-kicking he handed Sasuke just now would be the spark he needed to activate his Sharingan. Sasuke had his Sharingan since he was 6 years old from the massacre of his clan. He just needed enough of a catalyst to make them spring forth again. And that was more than enough. Now Sasuke would train harder than ever, not to kill Itachi, but to get on the same level as Senju Naruto. And with his Sharingan now activated, he was going to try to close that gap. Later that day, when the academy closed that day, since it was one of Naruto's off days for training, he decided to head to his favorite restaurant, Ichiraku's. He wanted to catch up with his first friends outside of the Hokage and devour his weekly ramen. As Naruto pushed back the flap of the restaurant, he yelled, "Hey old man! One large miso ramen please." "Ah, Naruto, how is my favorite customer doing these days?" "You look well," said Tucci as he began to make Naruto's dish. "Old man, I feel great. I learned something about myself the other day. Something big." As Tucci finished Naruto's ramen, he handed it off to Ayam, who asked, "And what would that be, Naruto-kun?" "First off, Ayam-chan, did I ever tell you that having a beautiful girl, like yourself, bring me ramen is probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen? It's like a dream, really?" said Naruto as he began to slurp his noodles, unaware of Ayam's blushing face. "Hehe, thank you, Naruto-kun. Now tell us about your big news," said Ayam as she fought down her blush. "Oh right," said Naruto as he had somehow gotten to his second bowl of ramen. "Where did he get that second bowl from?" "Yesterday, I found out that I am a part of a clan, the Senju clan. Can you believe it? Naruto Senju, future Hokage of Konoha and ramen connoisseur. Believe it." Both Ayam and Tucci froze at Naruto's declaration. Senju, as in Hashirama and Tobirama, the first two Hokages. Senju? Their Naruto, the same Naruto they had met only 4 years ago. They were so into their thoughts that they didn't register when Naruto said goodbye to them after finishing his third bowl of ramen. Wait, his third bowl? When did he get 3 bowls of ramen? Ayam only brought 1. Sometime later, as Naruto was walking home, he happened to overhear a civilian say something that put a smile on his face. "Did you hear, that kid is a Senju, and I heard he defeated the Uchiha prodigy with ease today. Maybe that boy is not the demon fox. Maybe he is just a kid. For him to beat the Uchiha kid, that must make him a genius as well, right? To be from the famed Senju clan, he could be. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'll just wait until I hear more about him." Overhearing that conversation, Naruto couldn't help but be happy. The process of getting Konoha to see him as him was starting. It was only one person today, but everyone had to start somewhere, right? Chapter 3, Genin. Time skip, 3 years later. Naruto age 13, nearing 14. Today was the day. Naruto would finally become a shinobi of Konoha. Prepared Naruto was ready for the Genin exam today. It had been a journey that started with him crying into the Hokage's robes when he was 6 up to this very moment now. And boy, Naruto was feeling good. Naruto had grown to a nice height of 5 feet 4 inches tall. He even changed his wardrobe due to him becoming an actual shinobi today. Naruto wore a black, unzipped tracksuit with 3 orange stripes on each sleeve with a mesh shirt on underneath. To finish his outfit, he wore black pants and black sandals. His hair was still identical to the yandame's, and his face matured more to show his age. Naruto had many good things going for him at this point. He was handsome, smart, and quite powerful for his age. His training was still progressing at a great rate. Naruto yielded incredible results over the years under the tutelage of Tora, his Umbu sensei. Naruto felt on top of the world and was ready for whatever the shinobi world had in store for him. Naruto's chakra reserves only increased at this point. He could easily throw around jutsu after jutsu without feeling the usual effects of exhaustion like other ninjas. Naruto was a chakra monster, and it didn't help that his chakra control had only gotten better. It wasn't high enough to use something like Iryo ninjutsu, medical ninja techniques, which require precise chakra control, but it wasn't far off from it either. Naruto also found time to delve into Fuinjutsu, sealing techniques. The Sandame was messing around with Naruto after Naruto claimed to want to surpass the Yandame. Hiruzen told him that since the Yandame was a sealing master and if Naruto wanted to truly surpass him, he'd have to become one as well. He didn't expect Naruto to ask him for lessons right after but was sort of happy he did. They met twice a month since the Hokage was a busy man, but Naruto had done well. His handwriting had become perfect, well at least good enough by Fuinjutsu standards. There were 10 levels of Fuinjutsu and Naruto was on level 2, which dealt with storage seals, and the efficiency of making them as a storage seal was one of the simplest seals. He had gotten it down to 45 seconds when making one and couldn't progress to the next level until he got it below 30 seconds. Due to his sensei's training regimen, Naruto honed the shinobi basics until he got them down to near perfection. His accuracy with using and throwing shuriken/kunai became second nature to him. He was now just as accurate on the run, blindfolded, or in midair as he was standing still. It was a perfect 10 of 10 on the bullseye. Naruto's taijutsu blossomed well along with his shuriken skills. Despite still only using his modified academy style, he was still formidable in it. His speed nearly doubled with all the exercises he did and the heavier training weights he was now using. Naruto learned to even add chakra to his strikes to make them slightly more powerful. Now it wasn't to the extreme of one of the famed Tsunade Senju punches, but it bolstered his attack strength. Tora had said that in a flat-out taijutsu fight, Naruto could best most Chunin at his current level. Genjutsu progressed nicely for Naruto as well. He finally got down the 2 genjutsu his sensei taught him. One of those being Megan, Jigakukoka no Jutsu, demonic illusion, descending hell technique, which creates the illusion of a huge fireball falling from the sky toward the target. It is only a C rank and pretty easy to spot and dispel. His second genjutsu was more effective than his first one, the Nihon Shoja no Jutsu, Temple of Nirvana technique, which generates sleep-inducing, imaginary white feathers that upon being seen make the target fall into a tranquil state of slumber. When it comes to spotting genjutsu, Naruto had gotten better and his ability to break them had moved up to a few A ranks. He was fine with that at the moment. Like always, Naruto's ninjutsu progressed the most, so much so that he seemed like a specialist. Yet and still, Naruto managed to add a lot of new ninjutsu to his arsenal, though most were for his still hidden Mokuton. Naruto finally got his Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker technique, battle ready. No leaves or smoke, just a simple after image. Couldn't catch keen-eyed or Chunin level opponents off guard, but it was still something at least. On to his element progression. For Doton, Naruto added only one new jutsu to his list. That jutsu being the powerful Doton, Doryuden, Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet, which creates a mud dragon, which proceeds to rapid-fire mud bullets at a target. Naruto still favored Doton over Suiton and Futon and as such used them the most. For Suiton, Naruto added another B rank like his Earth Dragon. The Suiton, Suigaden, Water Fang Bullet, which creates a powerful liquid mass brought forth from the water as it becomes compacted and adds a spinning motion to increase damage. It was a great jutsu and one that attacked an opponent in a 360 around them with multiple rising fang-like water attacks. In Futon, Naruto finally learned a jutsu for his third element. It was simple but a great technique that would grow as Naruto grew. Futon, Daitapa, Wind Style, Great Breakthrough, was a technique that created a sudden gust of wind that with enough skill could become more than just a C-rank jutsu. This power depended entirely on the user. Since awakening his Mokuton, Naruto spent the most time getting better at it as it easily became his favorite element. Mokuton had the strength of earth and water's fluidity. It was the perfect element in Naruto's opinion, and Naruto soaked up as much on it as he could from his sensei as possible in the last 3 years. Naruto already knew the Moku Bunshin no Jutsu, would clone technique, and had finally perfected it. After the clone technique, Naruto learned the ever-versatile Mokuton, Daidrin no Jutsu, with style, Great Forest technique, which changes one's arms into branches. It could be used to either capture an enemy, or there could be sharp stakes added to the end of the branches to add a deadly edge. Another jutsu Naruto had mastered was Mokuton, Mokujihiki, with style, with locking wall, which creates a powerful, domed wall made of interlocking wooden pillars. And finally, Tora taught Naruto his favorite jutsu thus far, Mokuton, Jukai Koten, with style, nativity of a sea of trees, that creates a forest in mere moments. And he was only getting better. Naruto also learned his sensei's name, Tenzo. Naruto also figured out Tenzo could use Mokuton as well. Upon asking if he and Tenzo had any relation to one another, Naruto learned that Tenzo was a product of an experiment done by Orochimaru that gave him the ability. Despite his ability to use Mokuton, since it is injected into him, he couldn't use it on the same scale as Hashirama. Naruto didn't have that problem. His Mokuton was genetically passed down, and it showed when his Mokuton was noticeably stronger than his sensei's despite just learning it. Naruto had room to grow and his power could match Hashirama's in Mokuton, given enough time. After Naruto's 12th birthday, Tenzo decided it was time for the meeting to take place between Jinchuriki and Biju. Flashback. Almost 2 years ago, Naruto age 12. You want me to meet the Kyuubi? asked an anxious Naruto. He was not scared or anything, more like excited to finally meet his bijou. Tenzo smiled at Naruto's eagerness and said, "Yes, Naruto, I think it's time you set up a relationship with the Kyuubi. There's no point in having all that ability and not using it." Naruto was ready. There was silence for a moment. "How do I meet the Kyuubi?" asked a sheepish-looking Naruto. Tenzo couldn't keep from chuckling at Naruto's expense. It's been said that when a Jinchuriki mediates, they can consciously enter their mindscape to interact with their bijou, so that's what you're going to do. Have at it. So Naruto did as instructed and sat in the lotus position and clasped his hands together in a ram seal. After about 10 minutes of steady breathing, Naruto felt a tug in his mind. When he opened his eyes, Naruto noticed he was in a tunnel. Looking behind him, he saw a wall, so Naruto went down the only path, which was forward. After what seemed like an hour, which wasn't a whole second in the real world, Naruto met a cage. A huge cage. After not noticing another presence or any movement behind it, Naruto began to wonder if he went the correct way. "Hello?" After no response, Naruto thought he did something wrong and was about to leave until an eye opened. A giant, red, slitted eye. Then another opened. And finally, the shadows covering a massive fox with 9 tails lifted. "So this is my Jinchuriki. Finally, come to meet me, I see," said Kyuubi after staring at Naruto. "Yes, I am. My name is Senju Naruto and I am happy to finally meet you," said Naruto with a smile. Normally I'd tear you to shreds just because, but your chakra is very calming and it's soothing. Not to mention this cage and seal keeping me from doing so. So in the meantime, I'll humor you," replied the Kyuubi as it placed its head on its crossed arms. Naruto didn't show outwardly a reaction to the prospect of being torn to shreds, but he did gulp on the inside. "Well, I just wanted to get to know you better. You've been in here for 12 years and I still know nothing about you besides what legends say," said Naruto as he continued with, "Well, when I was researching the bijou, I found out there are 8 other like you in the world, and one thing I noticed was that the Ichibi has a name, Shikaku. So it made me wonder, do all of you have names? If so, what's yours?" The Kyuubi became shocked. It had been able to hear what the boy sensei had said this visit would be for and thought his Jinchuriki would just come in here demanding power. So when the Kyuubi heard Naruto's question, you could hear the surprise in its voice. "You, a kid, are the first human to ask if I have a name for as long as I have existed in this world. For that I thank you," said the Kyuubi as he became more interested in his container. "Kurama. My name is Kurama." Naruto couldn't keep the smile off his face. This had started better than expected. "Well, Kurama, if I may, why did you attack Konoha?" said Naruto as he held a stern face. He had always wanted to know, since it never added up to him, that the Kyuubi would just attack out of nowhere. "To be honest, a man with a Sharingan manipulated me. Just because I'm near omnipotent, I don't go around destroying places just because I can. So while hypnotized by this masked man, he set me upon your village until your yandere managed to seal me into you. Well, it's good to know that you didn't attack Konoha of your own volition, or that you're not a homicidal bijou hellbent on destruction. Can you explain why this place looks like this? I thought it'd be more complex like the seal on me," said Naruto as he thought it looked like a sewer. "It is not a sewer kit," said Kurama as Naruto looked shocked but then remembered. He was in his mind, so obviously his thoughts could be heard here. "And for why it looks like this I cannot say, though it is cozier in here with your Mokuton-infused chakra circulating throughout this place, permeating the air here. Well, as long as you're comfortable, then I'm okay with it. Now, down to the nitty-gritty of why I'm here. My sensei sent me in here to somehow find a way to gain access to your chakra. I figured we could become partners. You do realize that with your Kekai Genkai you could just steal my chakra at will, right? Yet you still ask me to use it," asked a confused Kurama. "I wouldn't like it if someone just stole my chakra. I'd want them to ask permission, and you know the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. So I decided to ask you if you'd lend it to me." What a surprising kid. From what I've seen of his life and his thoughts, I can tell he's different from the rest. Maybe I'll give this kid a chance. But mainly because it would be foolish for a Jinchuriki to not have access to his bijou's chakra, thought Kurama before he said, "Sure, kid. But first, there are risks when using my chakra. My chakra is extremely powerful, too powerful for you to wield a lot of it at your current level. At most, you may only be able to use a tail of it while still being able to control it without harming the wrong people. It wouldn't matter even if you could use more. The seal is so tight that only a tail of my chakra is accessible to you at this moment. You'd have to find a way to loosen it somehow. Even then, you'll have to earn my trust to gain further access to my chakra. Well, can't I just rip that seal tag off? Said Naruto. It's not that simple. This piece of paper means nothing unless you loosen the seal itself. Plus, I wasn't going to give you more than one tail in the first place, so don't worry about it for now, said Kurama. Naruto agreed with what his bijou said and decided he would do all he could to earn Kurama's trust. I mean, if Kurama was there, why shouldn't they be friends? He was just glad that he had been given access to his bijou's power in the first place. After an exchange of goodbye, Naruto left his mindscape. When Naruto returned to the physical world, he noticed Tenzo still standing there looking at him expectantly. Catching the hint, Naruto channeled some of Kurama's chakra and entered his Jinchuriki state. Well, what do you think? Asked Naruto as he was now covered in a shroud of reddish-orange chakra. Tenzo became impressed. He didn't believe Naruto would be able to get access to his bijou's chakra, but, "Looks great, Naruto. I can feel the oppressive chakra bearing down on me. But is that as far as you can go? If not, go as far as possible and then tell me how you feel." Naruto nodded his head as he channeled a little more of Kurama's chakra and entered a one-tail state. Instead of just a flame-like shroud, Naruto's cloak morphed into a bubbly, red chakra that took on a fox's shape, complete with a tail of chakra swishing behind him. I feel incredible. I feel faster and a lot stronger. This chakra is full of energy. Life energy, it feels like. Naruto performed the snake hand seal and thought, Mokutan, Jukai Koten, with style. Nativity of a sea of trees. Instantly trees sprouted from the ground all around Naruto at a much quicker pace than before and were even taller as well. Seemed Kurama's chakra has its perks. My Mokutan is stronger when using this chakra. I love it, said Naruto as he moved around a little to test out how he felt using it. Seems we should spar so you begin getting used to using your bijou's chakra. This will help so you're not attacking your teammates, said Tenzo as he readied for Naruto's assault. Let's go wild. Flashback end. Good times, said Kurama in Naruto's head. Naruto and Kurama were now on good terms throughout nearly 2 years of knowing each other. It was a weird relationship. But then again, what wasn't weird about a 13-year-old human boy and a fox-shaped collection of energy that was given consciousness being friends? As Naruto was heading to the academy, a kind woman outside her shop greeted him. Hello, Senju-san. It is good to see you this morning. Today's the day of the Genin exam, correct? After a smile and nod from Naruto, she continued, Well, good luck and do your best. I'll be rooting for you, said the woman as she waved goodbye with a smile. Naruto smiled and waved back as he continued toward the academy. Things changed since he became a Senju. Though it did take a month, a few blood test results, and the verbal promise of authenticity from their longest-tenured Hokage for the Konoha populace to finally accept Naruto's stature as a Senju. Even still, he still wasn't the most popular person in Konoha. A name meant nothing, even the Senju clan name, because he was still perceived as the Kyuubi that attacked on his birth. But a few people, such as the woman just now, had begun to open up to him. So into his thoughts about his training, Kurama, and Konoha, Naruto didn't realize he was stepping into his classroom. Once he noticed it, he immediately headed toward the open seat next to Sasuke. Sasuke had opened up to Naruto after that beatdown he received that day 3 years ago. Sasuke had asked if he could train with Naruto and even thanked him for helping him awaken his Sharingan, even though it was accidental. After a few times of training with Naruto and getting to know him, Naruto and Sasuke had become good friends, best friends. Sasuke improved greatly while training with Naruto. The first thing Naruto taught Sasuke was how to tree and water walk. Naruto claimed that his ninjutsu increased immediately after doing those chakra control exercises. Sasuke knew Naruto was right when he performed a katan, Gukakyu no Jutsu, fire style, grand fireball technique, and saw how much bigger and hotter it became. When Sasuke had reawakened his Sharingan, he still only had one tomo in each eye, but after spars with Naruto and since Naruto didn't pull any punches against him, it evolved into its Tsutomu state. Sasuke had eventually started to hit Naruto in their spars. Though there was still a gap between their skill levels, Naruto was far stronger and Sasuke wasn't afraid to admit it. But they were rivals, Sasuke had to catch up. So as Naruto came to sit down, the two shared a fist bump as they talked about the coming exam. "This is the day we start our journey as Konoha ninja, as Sasuke?" said Naruto to his friend. "HN," came the perfect response to anything from the Uchiha. "You ready? You won't freeze up again from having flashbacks?" asked Naruto as Sasuke had told him about the massacre. He was the first person who Sasuke shared his view of the story with since it happened. "Yeah, I'm fine. I'll be good. Can't have you trying to outshine me here. I'm the rookie of the year. Can't let that stop me from becoming a genin," said Sasuke with a confident smirk. "PSSSH. I could still kick your rookie of the year ass, you know? Titles like that mean nothing in the real world," said Naruto in a challenging tone. Sasuke turned his Sharingan on as he stared at Naruto. "You want to test that theory now?" said Sasuke. "Ooh, so you got pink eye with a pretty eye pattern. That doesn't scare me at all. Your body can't keep up with your eyes. I find that hilarious. To see a punch coming in super slow-mo and still know there's nothing you can do about stopping it." "HN," said the Uchiha as he began to get mentally prepared for the exam. Meanwhile, Naruto could hear Kurama chuckling in his mind with "pink eye," said repeatedly between laughs. Out of nowhere, a red and purple blur came bursting into the room at roughly the same time. "I win," came the shout of one Sakura Haruno as she stepped through the doorway with Ino by her side. "You wish the only hope you had in winning was because your forehead gave you a reach advantage," came the snappy reply from Ino. "You're just mad because Sasuke wouldn't date pigs like you," rebutted Sakura. Before Ino could reply, one of the other civilian girls shouted, "Why would we want Sasuke when Naruto-kun is way cuter? Have you seen those adorable whisker marks?" As Ino mentally agreed and was glad that she didn't say the same thing. Ino had wanted Sakura to become better, and she knew the competition would help, so that's why she kept going along with this whole Sasuke feud, even though Ino crushed on Naruto. Ino liked Naruto ever since she was 9. One day, Naruto handed her the brightest purple lilac she had ever seen, and upon seeing it, noticed his eyes matched the lilac, which was her favorite color. She had found out that Naruto liked flowers and anything dealing with plants. She also got to spend time with him when he'd volunteer at her family's flower shop. The flowers always seemed to look better when he came by. Plus, he had the prettiest eyes ever, and they were her favorite color. "Did I already think that?" thought Ino as she looked at Naruto, chatting with Sasuke. Her thoughts ended the moment Irika-sensei entered and ordered everyone to take a seat. After a long, arduous speech from him, the exam started. Irika and his assistant, Mizuki, began handing out the written exams. Mizuki was a man of average height and build, similar to Irika. He had white, neck-length hair and wore the standard Chunin outfit of Konoha. To complete his outfit, he wore his forehead protector bandana style around his head. Naruto had always been able to sense the bad vibes coming from Mizuki. Naruto never told anyone about it due to him just believing he was prejudiced about his Jinchuriki status. So Naruto just let Mizuki hate on him. Naruto loves his haters anyway. After the simple written exam that Naruto did the bare minimum to pass, it was time for the practical exam, which consisted of a taijutsu spar with an instructor and demonstration of the 3 basic techniques. Many of the students did well in this part of the exam. Sasuke had even managed to get a few nice hits on Irika and got a 9 out of 10 for his efforts. Kiba finished with an 8 out of 10, and so did Hinata due to her gentle fist style. Choji received a 7 with his clan's techniques. Shino got a 6. Ino, Sakura, and Shikamaru all got a 4, though Shikamaru forfeited once he got his 4th point, which was just enough to pass. Then we had Naruto's turn, who somehow got the ironic luck to get paired with Mizuki. Naruto could already tell that Mizuki would try to harm him, but Naruto wasn't worried in the slightest. He welcomed the challenge. What occurred became known as the greatest ass-whooping ever given by an academy student to a Chunin instructor in history. Mizuki never got to move, Naruto was on him too quickly, and the match ended as quickly as it started. After Irika said Hajime, not a second later, and a surprise Shunshin that Mizuki could have countered had he not been overconfident, Mizuki felt pain. Left jab to the face, right cross, followed by a roundhouse kick. But before Mizuki could go to the ground, Naruto planted another kick that sent Mizuki careening past Irika. 10. Definitely a 10. Since Mizuki was out cold, Irika just continued to the ninjutsu portion alone. Shino Aburame, pass. Choji Akimichi, pass. Sakura Haruno, pass. Hinata Hyuga, pass. Kiba Inazaka, pass. Shikamaru Nara, pass. Naruto Senju, pass. Sasuke Uchiha, pass. Ino Yamanaka, pass. There were also another 18 civilian children who passed the exams as well. After Irika gave another speech on how proud he was of his students and what life would be like now that they were shinobis of the leaf, he let his students leave. The academy was over with, and now it was time to meet their senseis, which was tomorrow. "We made it," said Naruto with a smile on his face, as he tied his black forehead protector around his forehead, a smile that everyone in the group of 9 reciprocated. Well, with Shino, you couldn't see, but Naruto could sense he was happy. "We should go to celebrate. Anyone want barbecue?" said a happy Choji. "Troublesome, but I'm in," said Shikamaru with a smirk. After a chorus of agreements, the entire gang that would later be dubbed the Rookie 9 headed to one of Choji's family-owned restaurants. They all shared a great time at the restaurant. They knew that this would be the last time they'd all be together for a while once they separated into teams with their senseis. Eventually, they all went their different ways. Choji and Shikamaru headed to Shikamaru's house. Kiba, Shino, and Sasuke went back to their respective houses. Ino and Sakura disappeared to Sakura's home, and Hinata had politely excused herself back to her clan compound. Several hours later. A few hours had passed and Naruto began to wander around Konoha aimlessly, determining what to do. It seemed the sun was going down soon, so he'd be able to watch the sunset from Hokage Mountain. With a shunshin, Naruto sat atop of the Yandame's head. Naruto felt at peace. He felt good and nothing would change that at all. After the sun went down, Naruto decided to head home to get some rest before tomorrow. On his way, a shinobi went flying past him and nearly crashed into him. Naruto was turning around to say sorry when he noticed the ninja had kept going. "Wait a minute, that's Mizuki-sensei. Wonder what he's in a rush for. Well, wait, is that a scroll on his back? It looks familiar. Where have I seen that scroll before?" asked Naruto in his head. Then it hit him that was the Hokage's scroll of seals. A scroll that contained many dangerous techniques that are mostly kenjutsu, forbidden techniques. But why did Mizuki have it? Why would Mizuki head outside of the village with that scroll? A scroll that only the Hokage could touch? Oh, he's stealing it and you're still sitting here trying to figure out what he's doing. It's obvious, said an irritated Kurama. Naruto had the decency to look sheepish. He made sure no one was watching him as he created a Moku Bunshin, would clone, and gave it instructions to alert the Hokage. After taking care of that, Naruto immediately pursued Mizuki to stop him. Forest nearing edge of Konoha. Mizuki had never been happier in his lifetime. The forbidden scroll, he had finally gotten a hold of it. Now all Mizuki had to do was hand it to Orochimaru and he would get the power he sought. Mizuki started to get excited at how he was so close to his dreams. However, he halted when he saw the Kyuubi brat appear in front of him. "Mizuki," said Naruto with a serious face. "This night just got better," said Mizuki with a sadistic laugh. "The gods must love me to have you, of all people, show up here right before I leave. I can finally drop the act and kill you after all these years, fox boy. Didn't I just thrash him earlier today? Is he crazy?" thought Naruto with a deadpan. "It would seem so," said Kurama with a chuckle. "Don't give me that look, demon. You know why the people of this village hate you?" said Mizuki with an evil glare. "It doesn't matter," said Naruto, whose face hadn't changed since first arriving. "It's because you're the Kyuubi. You're that piece of shit fox who assaulted Konoha years ago. And now, you pathetic demon, I'm going to kill you," said Mizuki dangerously as he pulled an oversized shuriken off his back. "Naruto, I don't care how you do it. Kill this guy. Who does he think he's talking about here?" said an agitated Kurama, who was aggressively trying to send chakra into Naruto to get him to tear Mizuki apart. I can't kill him, but I'm sure Gigi will know what to do with him to appease your needs, said Naruto in his head as he denied Kurama's chakra. Are you done? Asked Naruto in a bored tone. What? Asked a slightly confused Mizuki, as he thought that the boy would have a mental breakdown at the news. I already know what's sealed into me, but I am Konoha Genin, Naruto Senju, and nothing will change that. Before I curb stomp you something serious, I have to know, why did you steal the scroll? For power? Or was it to give it to someone else? Said Naruto sharply. It seems I have to give you a little credit, but even a fool is right some of the time. Since you'll be dead here shortly, why not tell you? Lord Orochimaru tasked me with the retrieval of this scroll, and in return, I would become his right-hand man. He would give me great power, and I would be able to show everyone that I'm strong, said Mizuki madly as he threw his shuriken at Naruto. Orochimaru, one of Konoha's biggest traitors. The same one that performed that experiment on Tenzo-sensei, thought Naruto as he sidestepped the shuriken. That is a terrible mistake on your part, Mizuki, and I cannot forgive a traitor of my village, said Naruto as he performed the ram hand seal and slammed both of his palms on the ground. Doton, Doryuhiki, Earth-style, mud wall, thought Naruto as a huge wall sprung up behind Mizuki. Mizuki briefly turned his head around and looked in awe at the jutsu used by the demon. He had no idea he could use ninjutsu of this caliber. In the short amount of time it took Mizuki to turn his head around, Naruto clapped his hands together and was ready to fire off another jutsu. Suiton, Suiden no Jutsu, water style, water bullet technique. Naruto fired off a huge bullet of water at Mizuki, who braced himself for impact as it plowed into him. Due to Naruto's mud wall behind him, Mizuki didn't travel far before impacting off the wall behind him. As Mizuki slowly overcame the effects of the jutsu, he steadied himself with a kunai in hand and charged at Naruto. Naruto pulled out his kunai and clashed with Mizuki's own. Mizuki, being physically stronger and taller than Naruto, had the advantage over Naruto and eventually managed to dig his kunai into Naruto's chest. Mizuki smirked upon seeing Naruto's shocked face, but that quickly disappeared as Naruto reverted to mud. Replacement. He barely had time to turn around to see Naruto coming right at him. Mizuki felt every bit of air leave him from the Kurama-powered elbow to his stomach. Mizuki fell on his hands and knees trying to regain his breath, but before he could recover, he met unconsciousness as his body hit the ground from Naruto's dual-handed axe punch to his back. When Naruto noticed Mizuki stopped moving, he relaxed a little and went over to retrieve the scroll. He then stomped Mizuki one time to keep with his word of curb-stomping him. Naruto tied Mizuki up and carried him and the scroll back to the Hokage Tower. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen stood in his office when Naruto came in and told him about the Scroll of Seals incident and grew worried. However, he visibly relaxed when it was just a clone and the real Naruto was already in pursuit of Mizuki. He knew Naruto could easily handle Mizuki, but he did send Umbu out to make sure the scroll made it back and that Naruto was okay. Hiruzen knew that Mizuki had grown complacent and his skills had dulled, so Naruto would have no trouble in defeating him. He was proven right when Naruto came into view with a Shunshin carrying both Mizuki and the Scroll of Seals. You know, that was a pretty fast Shunshin, Naruto-kun, said Hiruzen with a smile as he was glad Naruto had come back unharmed and with the scroll. Thanks, Gigi. Well, I caught Mizuki, beat him down, and brought back the scroll, said a cheery Naruto as he fist bumped his clone, who then dispelled itself. Then Naruto got serious and said, Orochimaru is involved in Mizuki's treachery. This news startled the aged Hokage, as anything Orochimaru related was of terrible news to Konoha. His favorite student had developed into a major pain in the ass, and it was his fault for not ending it all those years ago. I'm too old for this, thought Hiruzen with an aged sigh. Nevertheless, the scroll was back and Naruto caught the traitor so he could be interrogated for more information. He might even let Ibiki pull out all of his tricks. Hiruzen shivered at the thought. He didn't know how Ibiki become as sadistic as he is, but he was glad that he was not on the other side of an Ibiki interrogation. That man was brutal. You didn't peek in the scroll, did you? Said the Hokage with authority. Of course not, Gigi. That scroll is for the Hokage's eyes only, said Naruto with a smile. Good, said Hiruzen proudly as he realized how much Naruto had grown in the past years. He was well on his way to becoming a great shinobi. Well, thank you, Naruto-kun, And I say that on behalf of all of Konoha, since what you just did was a great service to the village. Now get ready for your registration and team assignment. I'm so proud of you and good luck. Hi Hokage Jiji-sama, said Naruto with a mock salute. After that long day, Naruto did nothing but walk in and plop down on his bed, all the while anticipating tomorrow's event. Chapter 4. Team Kakashi. Naruto awoke today feeling amazing. Today it'd all be official. Naruto would register, then head to the academy to meet his Jonin sensei. After getting ready, Naruto trekked off to get his registration taken care of. After the short walk and getting his ninja face on for his photograph, Naruto headed in to give his papers to the Hokage. Hey GG, said a happy Naruto after spotting Hiruzen decked out in his Hokage attire as usual. Hiruzen smiled upon Naruto's arrival. Naruto seemed to always brighten people's days, or at least his. Hello Naruto-kun, I see you have your ninja registration, he said as he held out his hand to grab Naruto's papers. Well Konoha Genin, Naruto Senju, ninja registration number 012607. You are official and looking good there my boy, said Hiruzen with a warm smile. Before Naruto could reply, he sensed someone coming toward the door. After a few seconds, that person came flying through the door wielding a paper shuriken. The assailant had short, spiky brown hair. He wore a yellow shirt with Konoha's symbol on it in red, gray shorts, and a long blue scarf. He was a kid who couldn't be older than 8. Today's the day, old man, shouted the kid as he charged at Hiruzen. However, 2 steps in, he tripped on his oversized scarf and fell flat on his face. The Sandaime sighed as he stated, Naruto, this is Konohamaru. He wants to defeat me in a battle to earn the Hokage title. That was the most pathetic attempt at beating someone I have ever seen, said Kurama, watching the scene in amusement. Naruto mentally nodded at Kurama's claim. And eventually, after that moment of shame, Konohamaru had gotten up and pointed an accusing finger at Naruto. You tripped me. I was this close to beating the old man, but you had to ruin it, said Konohamaru in a murderous tone. You tripped on your scarf. I had nothing to do with your failure just now, said Naruto, confused about how he got into this predicament. Another person entered the room, cutting Naruto from his musings. Honorable grandson, came the voice from a man named Ebisu. Ebisu is a Tokubetsu Jonin, special Jonin, of the leaf who wears the standard outfit of Konoha shinobi without the flak jacket. He also dons a pair of black sunglasses and wears his forehead protector bandana style. He is also known throughout the Konoha shinobi populace as a suck-up, and as such brown noses those above him or those with enough significance. Since he only heard Konohamaru yelling and didn't realize he was talking to the Senju boy, he said, You scoundrel, what did you do to the Sandaime's grandson? Upon hearing that declaration, Naruto's eyebrows raised slightly as he looked back at Konohamaru. Konohamaru smirked when he saw Naruto's face and expected he'd kiss his feet like everybody else upon realizing who he was and how the Sandaime was his grandfather. I did nothing to Konohamaru here. He tripped on his scarf, and I could care less if he's the Sandaime's grandson. That means nothing to me whatsoever. Titles like that are pointless, and even if we were going by that, he'd lose as I outrank him being related to 2 Hokages, said Naruto, who waved goodbye to the Hokage and disappeared via a shunshin. This got varied reactions around the room. Hiruzen watched the scene pleased as he knew Konohamaru liked being called Konohamaru and not honorable grandson. He had a name. Konohamaru was staring in awe, not because of who Naruto's ancestry was, but because he called him Konohamaru, and not to mention how cool he looked vanishing like that. Ebisu became shocked. If he had known it was Senju-sama he was speaking to, he would have changed what he said to him. Naruto appeared at the academy, where he trotted into his class and took his usual seat next to Sasuke. After an exchange of greeting, and since he was so early, Naruto decided to take a nap. After about 20 minutes, Iruka walked in to give out the team assignments as Sasuke woke up Naruto. Beginning today, all of you are real shinobi, but you're still merely rookie genin. The hard part hasn't begun yet. Now you will soon be assigned duties by the village. Today, we will put you in your 3-man teams and assign each team a Jonin sensei. You will follow their instructions from this point on. said Irika with a proud smile as he gave out the team assignments. Naruto could care less about any team that wasn't his or one of his friends, so he didn't care until he heard his name called and was happy with the team. Team 7 is Naruto Senju, Sasuke Uchiha. Mentioning those two names, it seemed every girl in the room who hadn't been picked yet sat hoping for placement with the two hottest guys in their class. Sakura Haruno, your sensei is Kakashi Hatake. Yes, love prevails overall, said Sakura as she fist-pumped the air for being with Sasuke. There were also some incoherent mumbles of bullshit, not fair, and foreheads with my man. Irika continued after quieting down the class. Team 8 is Shino Aburame, Kiba Inazaka, and Hinata Hyuga. Your sensei is Kurenai Yuhi. Team 9 is still in circulation, so Team 10 is Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka. Your sensei is Asuma Sarutobi. And with that said, Irika bid them all good luck and farewell as their senseis would arrive shortly. 2 hours later. One at a time, each Jonin came to pick up their team right after Irika finished speaking. However, it had been 2 hours and Team 7 sensei hadn't arrived yet. Sakura was fuming at this point, wondering why he hadn't shown up. Naruto remained calm and even shut his eyes to sleep some more. Sasuke was in between each of them. He was calm like Naruto, but his eyebrow twitched every few seconds to show his irritation. I don't care if this guy's a Jonin. Who the hell is 2 hours late? Shrieked a practically seething Sakura as she ground her teeth together. Naruto opened his eyes as he said, Sakura-chan, you're loud again. Sakura blushed with embarrassment. Naruto had told her she shrieked at times, and after everyone's agreement, she had begun to try to tone it down, though she still had outbursts occasionally. Shortly afterward, Naruto perked up slightly and stared at the door. A few seconds later, a man with gravity-defying, silver hair came through the door. He had on the standard outfit of Konoha shinobi along with a face mask that covered his nose down. He also wore his headband around his forehead, though it slanted down to cover his left eye. Team 7. After a nod, he said, My first impression of you guys. You seem like a nice bunch. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. As he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura made their way to the roof to meet up with Kakashi. Once they arrived, they noticed their sensei was reading an orange book. He looked as if he was oblivious to his surroundings, but Naruto could see the critical eye he had on them. After Kakashi noticed everyone was ready, he began. Glad you all made it. Now, how about we start by having you all introduce yourselves? Said Kakashi as he put his book away. What should we say? Asked Sakura. How about your likes, dislikes, dream for the future, and your hobbies? Answered Kakashi with a bored tone. Could you go first? As an example, said Sakura with a smile. Kakashi let out a sigh. Fine. My name is Kakashi Hatake. I do not want to tell you my likes or dislikes. Dreams for the future. I have many hobbies, said Kakashi as he pointed at Naruto to go. Naruto grew disheartened as he only learned his sensei's name but smiled at it being his turn to introduce himself. My name is Naruto Senju. I like ramen, forests, and gardens. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes to make ramen and traders. My dream for the future is to surpass all the Hokages and protect this village. That way everyone has to acknowledge me. Hobbies? I have a bonsai tree and training, said Naruto still smiling. He's grown up interesting. Though Kakashi. Next, said Kakashi looking at Sasuke. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. There are tons of things I dislike and only a few things I do like. And I don't use the word dream, for I have an ambition. To revive my clan and kill a certain man, said Sasuke. Figured as much, thought Kakashi. And lastly, the girl, said Kakashi to Sakura. My name is Sakura Haruno. I like, said Sakura as she peeked at Sasuke. I mean, the person I like is my dream for the future? Oh my, the thing I dislike is Ino Pig. Finished Sakura. Typical girl her age, love over jutsu. Thought Kakashi before saying, well, tomorrow marks the start of Team 7. I'll see you all tomorrow for survival training, said Kakashi. Survival training? But didn't we do enough training in the academy, Kakashi-sensei? Asked a confused Sakura, who also had looks of confusion from Naruto and Sasuke. This training is different. I will be your opponent, but that is not all. This is an exam in which only 9 out of the 27 graduates will pass. It has a 66% failure rate, said Kakashi with a chuckle at his genin's faces of shock. You will meet me at 8 tomorrow morning. Bring your shinobi gear, and I suggest not eating breakfast, said Kakashi, and before anyone could ask him any more questions, he vanished in a poof. Naruto pondered those words before he too told his teammates goodbye and left via a shunshin. Sasuke decided to do some more training for tomorrow, and Sakura just headed home to also prepare for tomorrow as well. It would be a big day. The next day, 11 a.m. The next morning, it had been a long 3-hour wait as Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura arrived at 8 awaiting their sensei's arrival. Sasuke stood leaning on a tree, scowling slightly as he waited. Sakura was inwardly fuming again. Naruto mediated as he waited, still racking his brain over what Kakashi said yesterday. Naruto then opened his eyes as his sensei appeared several seconds later. You're late, came the yell from Sakura as Sasuke and Naruto agreed, although less vocal than their pink-haired teammate. Upon noticing the questioning looks from his genin, Kakashi explained his tardiness. I was on my way here when I saw a black cat cross my path. I didn't want bad luck, so I took a long way around, said Kakashi in a tone that seemed that he was completely honest. Sasuke and Sakura immediately recognized the horrible lie. However, Naruto immediately understood. He wouldn't want bad luck either and probably would have walked around as well. Okay, it's set to noon, said Kakashi as he pulled a clock out and sat it on one of the training posts. He then took out 2 bells and said, Here are 2 bells. Your task is to take one of these bells before noon. Those who cannot get a bell, get no lunch. Not only will I tie you to a stump, I'll eat your lunch in front of you, continued Kakashi as his 3 students' stomachs rumbled. That's why he said not to eat, thought Naruto as he was slowly concluding today's training. You only need 1 bell, and since there are only 2, I will tie whoever does not get a bell to this stump here. Also, that person fails and will go back to the academy, meaning at least one of you will be going back no matter what. You may use any ninja tools you have. I recommend coming at me with the intent to kill, otherwise you won't get a bell, said Kakashi as all of his genin got ready. After Kakashi said to start, all 3 of them immediately scattered. After a few moments of nothing, he pulled out his book and proceeded to read. Several minutes passed by and Kakashi just shrugged as he continued to read his book. They'd have to come for him anyway. Sasuke was hiding in some trees watching Kakashi with a scrutinizing eye, trying to find the best time to strike Kakashi. He then felt a presence behind him. Naruto, what are you doing here? Whispered Sasuke. We need to find Sakura. I have something I need to tell you both, said a completely serious Naruto as he took off to find Sakura. Sasuke would have argued had he not seen the seriousness from Naruto and promptly followed him. After a few minutes, Naruto and Sasuke landed near the underbrush where Sakura was hiding. After making her come over to them, Naruto started. This test is bullshit, said Naruto, completely confusing Sakura and Sasuke. What do you mean, Naruto? And hurry up, you're wasting my time. I need to get one of those bells, said Sasuke, irritated that Naruto still hadn't got to the point yet. Sakura-chan, what is the standard genin team in Konoha? Asked Naruto. After a prompt, 3 genin, 1 jonin answer from Sakura. Naruto continued. Thank you, with that in mind. That makes this test even more bull. We are never going to take on a jonin in a battle coming freshly out of the academy. Gigi wouldn't allow it in the real world. It just doesn't happen, so why now? The only way our chances would rise is if we work together, and even then the chances are still near 0, said Naruto as Sasuke and Sakura listened intently to their friend speak. As it was rare when he did speak like this, but usually his analyses were pinpoint. Kakashi said this test had a 66% failure rate, meaning only 9 of us will pass. From what Sakura says, you can only have 3 genin teams, full genin teams. That means this test is about teamwork, not getting the bells, said Naruto, completely confident in his deduction of this test. So we need to work together. And in the case that I am wrong, you can both have the bells. I don't mind doing another year. Sasuke and Sakura merely nodded their heads. They weren't completely convinced but figured, working together with Naruto, they had a better chance of getting the bells than working alone, especially since Naruto would willingly fail for them. So after a quick plan from Naruto, they set off to face Kakashi. Several minutes later, Kakashi still stood in the same spot since the beginning of the test. He lowered his book slightly to see Naruto standing in front of him. You know it's basic shinobi knowledge to hide one's presence and strike from blind spots, right? Said Kakashi as he put his book away. He knew how good Naruto was. Naruto replied with, "It wouldn't have made any difference. 1. You already knew where I was. 2. You have one of your eyes covered, so you likely have found a way to cover your blind spots as you create a huge one with only one eye. And 3. I figured out your test, it's teamwork, but there is a major flaw in it," said Naruto. Kakashi grew impressed with Naruto's analysis. He was right on each point, though he did wonder what the flaw in the test was. And what would the flaw be? Asked Kakashi as he readied for Naruto's assault. You can't expect 3 fresh genin to come in and show teamwork to that level. Teamwork happens over bonding with each other through missions, team meetings, and being with one another. Though it is a great test to find out if a team holds the will of fire, it's still difficult to do all of that in just 1 hour, said Naruto as he placed a hand in the half-ram seal. Naruto performed a shunshin to begin his assault on Kakashi. Kakashi nodded at Naruto's explanation. He then turned around and blocked the kick to his head from Naruto. The speed behind his kick is immense. That's why it hit so hard due to the momentum built up, thought Kakashi as he continued to block each of Naruto's strikes. He then saw Naruto do a low sweep kick and jumped over it. He grew surprised when Naruto immediately stood up faster than before with a kunai in hand and went to cut the strings holding the bells to his waist. He cut the string slightly before Kakashi batted the kunai out of his hands and they jumped back from one another. To think he'd be able to get that close to the bells. Impressive, thought Kakashi before he saw Naruto hold the tiger hand seal. Nien Shoja no Jutsu, Temple of Nirvana technique, thought Naruto as white feathers appeared around Kakashi. Kakashi immediately recognized the genjutsu and dispelled it with ease. However, as soon as he dispelled it, several kunai struck him squarely in the back. Sasuke had been mildly surprised when his kunai hit Kakashi. He did according to the plan. Once Naruto activated his genjutsu, launched the kunai at Kakashi to catch him off guard. Though he wasn't disappointed as he saw the customary log take Kakashi's place, signaling a replacement. Shortly after that, Sasuke heard a scream. It seemed Kakashi had taken out Sakura. Damn, guess we go to plan B, thought Sasuke as he activated his Sharingan when he noticed Kakashi behind him and engaged the Jonin in taijutsu. Kakashi wasn't surprised to see Sasuke's Sharingan. He had read about it in Sasuke's file. However, he was in for another shock as after a few blocked hits and Sasuke's impressive agility, Sasuke managed to touch one of the bells. Upon noticing it, Kakashi immediately disengaged and slid a few feet away from Sasuke. However, he didn't notice the 3 lines of mud on the ground around him. The lines were in a perfect square surrounding Kakashi, with the only uncovered side being the one facing Sasuke, who was going through several hand seals as Naruto landed beside him with his palms placed on the ground. Doton, Dorihiki, Earth Style, Mud Wall, thought Naruto as the mud around Kakashi rose on all 3 sides, creating a sort of tunnel facing his 2 students. At roughly the same time, Sasuke finished his hand seals and placed a hand near his mouth. Katan, Gokaku no Jutsu, Fire Style, Grand Fireball Technique, said Sasuke as he unleashed a huge fireball from his mouth that flew toward Kakashi. Kakashi was about to jump up to avoid the jutsu when he noticed an equally big water ball flying down towards him. Naruto must have created that before landing next to Sasuke to activate his mud wall. Damn, that's a good combo, thought Kakashi as the area inside the mud walls exploded with steam from the fireball and water ball combination. Steam continued to rise from the impact area, obstructing the 2 genin's view. Once it cleared, they noticed there was no trace of Kakashi anywhere. Underground, thought Naruto, but it was too late as a hand grabbed him and Sasuke and proceeded to drag them both underground. Kakashi soon popped up a few feet away and smiled at the 2 heads with his lone visible eye. Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth Style, Double Suicide Decapitation Technique, That was nice teamwork from you too. A great combination. You almost had me there, but you didn't. Too bad you didn't get a bell. As I'm sure you would have been great to have on my team," said Kakashi as he then noticed Sakura charging at him. "Seems Naruto must have woken her up while I was in that taijutsu battle with Sasuke," thought Kakashi. Sadly, Sakura was way too weak to face Kakashi. However, before she got to him, Kakashi found himself in a full Nelson from Naruto. Due to the shock of Naruto's unexpected arrival, he didn't notice the kunai from Sasuke cut off the bells. Sakura made a dive for the bells since Kakashi was still stuck in Naruto's grip. It was all for naught as the timer went off right as Sakura made it to the bells. So close, thought Naruto as he let go of Kakashi, and they all made their way to the stumps. They passed with flying colors, but why not find out to what extent? Thought Kakashi as he tied Naruto to one of the stumps. Kakashi asked how Naruto got out of the ground so fast, and with the answer of Doton, Murugikure no Jutsu, Earth style, hiding like a mole technique, he nodded at the statement. At which point, Kakashi told them that they failed the test since none of them could get a bell, but since they used teamwork, he'd give them another chance. Since Naruto attacked him first, then he wouldn't be allowed lunch. So after handing Sasuke and Sakura a bento and leaving instructions to not feed Naruto, he vanished in a poof of smoke. "We were so close," said Sakura as she opened her bento and began eating. "HN," said Sasuke as he agreed and couldn't wait for another shot at the Jonin. "We'll get him next time," said Naruto as he was wondering if he was wrong in his judgment of the true meaning of the test. They should have passed, right? Yet they didn't. Was he wrong? Eventually, his thoughts were cut short as his stomach quaked upon seeing Sasuke and Sakura eating their food. When that happened, he was in for a shock as Sasuke offered him his bento. "We need you," said Sasuke begrudgingly. "Had it not been for you, we would have not been so close in the first place. So here, eat up. You will not be at full strength if you are handicapped by hunger." Naruto was even more surprised when Sakura also offered her bento. "Sasuke-kun is right. You need to eat something and you can eat from mine since I don't eat as much as Sasuke-kun," said Sakura as she placed a bit of food on her chopsticks and was inches away from feeding Naruto when, boom! A huge plume of smoke appeared and out stepped an irate-looking Kakashi. "You dare defy my rules. I told you not to feed Naruto, yet you disobey my orders and do it anyway. What do you have to say for yourselves before I give out divine punishment?" said Kakashi as he held the ram seal and the sky darkened considerably and lightning danced around it. Freaked out by the sudden appearance of Kakashi, Naruto shouted, "Because we're a team, and teammates look out for one another. That's what Konoha's built upon, teamwork." "Well, if that's all you have to say, then you," said Kakashi as all the genin closed their eyes awaiting their punishment. "Pass," said Kakashi with an eye smile as the sky cleared back up. "What?" came the intelligent response from Sakura. Kakashi merely pointed to the memorial stone and stated, "Naruto was correct. This test was to find out your teamwork and willingness to work together. I gave you all a near impossible task with rules created to make you split up and work for yourselves. Had you forsaken your teammates and worked alone, you would have failed, even if you did get a bell. You all did the opposite, and that is why we are now officially Team 7. Remember these words. Those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their friends are even worse than scum," finished Kakashi. The three genins looked on with various expressions. Sakura fist-pumped at officially being a team. Sasuke merely smirked in his cool way, though you could see his excitement. Naruto, however, was crying tears of passion at the line that would forever be engraved in his heart. They were Team 7 and nothing would change that. "Now tomorrow we will begin missions and training to work more efficiently as a team. I expect to see you guys back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Until then," said Kakashi as he disappeared again in a puff of smoke. When Kakashi left, Naruto escaped the ropes that bound him to the stump as he asked, "So you guys want to train since we still have a whole day left? We all need more work, especially you, Sakura. Sasuke and I are more advanced than you, and we need all the links of our team to be better if we want to be the best team possible." Finished Naruto as Sasuke nodded and looked at Sakura expectantly. After a moment, Sakura agreed. She would get to spend more time with her Sasuke-kun and become a better ninja in the process since her lack of help against Kakashi-sensei was eye-opening. Time skip, 6 weeks later. D-rank missions, chores if you asked Naruto, were horrible. Team 7 had done 48 D-rank missions in the past 6 weeks, from walking dogs and painting fences to catching the elusive Tora, pet cat of the fire daimyo's wife. In those 6 weeks, though, Team 7 held many training sessions together. Usually 3, sometimes 4 times a week outside of missions and teamwork training with Kakashi. Naruto stayed relatively the same, steadily trying to increase the speed of his shunshin and master his ninjutsu arsenal. Kakashi even showed Naruto another clone technique, as he knew about Naruto's Mokuton and Moku Bunshins, wood clones, and that he still didn't want to show it. It was the simple IWA Bunshin no Jutsu, rock clone technique. Naruto also moved to level 3 of Fuinjutsu, sealing techniques, involving exploding seals. He began to attach them to his earth clones to add a deadly surprise to the simple clone technique. Sasuke added a few more fire jutsus, one of them being Katan, Hosenka no Jutsu, fire style, Phoenix Sage Flower technique, which emitted a volley of fist-sized fireballs from the user's mouth in an unpredictable way. He also added the powerful Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu, fire style, fire dragon technique, which creates a powerful stream of fire from the user's mouth that takes on a dragon's appearance. Also during that time, he managed to learn several Sharingan Jinjutsu from his clan's library. For some reason, Kakashi even gave him tips. How Kakashi knew so much about the Sharingan was above him, but he accepted it with no questions asked. The person who progressed the most was Sakura. She began with physical exercises that at first were brutal on her due to her not getting the correct nutrition into her body. However, after hearing Naruto and Sasuke tell her to quit her diet since it'd make her body more capable of handling this type of training, it began to bear results. Her stamina, speed, and strength had improved greatly over the past 6 weeks. Naruto and Sasuke had also found out that Sakura had amazing chakra control, since she was able to get tree walking and water walking relatively quickly. Since her chakra control was so good, Naruto suggested she become a medic nin. Sakura was happy with the suggestion, since she knew she wouldn't be able to catch Sasuke and Naruto in the other shinobi arts, but being a medic nin added value to her place on the team. Sakura had learned the beginning medical ninjutsu, the Shosen no Jutsu, mystical palm technique. Though she could only heal small bruises and cuts, it was still better than nothing, and she was proud of herself. She felt more important on the team nowadays, and her confidence skyrocketed as a result. Kakashi, noticing the progress his team had made individually, smiled because they took it upon themselves to get better. As such, he was more than happy to give out tips to help them. Due to them blossoming so well, he decided they had enough of D ranks and it was now time for their first C rank. It was a simple bodyguard duty to escort Tazuna, a bridge builder who lived in Wave Country, back to Wave Country and guard him while he finished a bridge. It was more than easy enough for his team to handle, and tomorrow they would set out on their first C rank. Chapter 5, First C rank. It was a bright and sunny day as 5 people were walking down a road. Those 5 people were the 4 members of Team 7 and their client. They were walking in a diamond formation with Naruto in front, Sasuke on the left, Sakura on the right, Kakashi trailing behind, and Tazuna, the client, in the middle of the formation. It had been a day since leaving the village to begin their first C rank. Normally the trip to Wave would be less than a day, but with Tazuna being a civilian, they had to travel at his pace. The group walked in relative peace and silence until Naruto tripped a bit. After a light chuckle at Naruto's misfortune, Sakura posed a question. "Tazuna-san, you're from Wave Country, right?" After a grumble of, "What about it?" from him, Sakura turned to Kakashi and asked, "Kakashi-sensei, do they have ninjas in Wave Country?" "No, not in Wave Country. Though their culture and customs differ, hidden villages do exist, and as such, other ninjas as well," said Kakashi as he patted Sakura's head, messing up her perfectly groomed hair. "Don't worry. There isn't any ninja combat on a C rank mission.